What's up, guys? Welcome back to Sitting Courtside. Of course, it's your boy, Jerry D.
And it's your boy, Dante. We are back here with another episode of your favorite basketball podcast. Episode 36. We're getting up there, Jerry. We're getting up there in numbers.
Yeah,
but
it feels good. It feels great.
Before we get going, like always, please make sure to like and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. Put in the comments, talk about, your thoughts, your opinions on what we talked about today. Just say hi. Say, hey guys, what's going on? Be nice. Put nice comments only. If you are an audio-only listener, we appreciate it. Make sure to give us a 5-star review, 5-star rating, 5-star review, whatever it may be. Follow, however that works. We appreciate the support. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. If you have been with us for this long, you already know where to find us. But if you are new, welcome. Make sure to check us out on those platforms. I'm very excited, Jerry, to jump into some basketball because we are into the second round of the NBA playoffs. We have some good topics for you guys. We're going to dive deep into the playoff series, some other stuff that we have for you. But until we do that, Jerry, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good, man. I'm jacked up. I'm amped up, ready to it's the best time of the year, man. Basketball in May. We're getting closer and closer to June. It's sad because I know the season's about to end, but it's so awesome to see this type of level of basketball. And before I really dive into these topics, how are you, my good man?
I'm doing great, Jerry. Like you said, basketball in May is fantastic. The only thing better than basketball in May is basketball in June. And, Celtics are doing good. The Bruins are doing even better. Bruins won Game 7 this past Saturday against the Maple Leafs. Oh, see you later, Toronto. It was a good series. You almost had us there, but we got you. And right now, Jerry, we got every night. It's the Celtics, Bruins, Celtics, Bruins, Celtics, Bruins for the next week and a half. I'm amped up. It is a great time to be a sports fan, especially Boston sports fan, unless shit hits the fan and something bad happens. But I'm good right now, so I'm in a great mood.
Look, if you're in the city of Charlotte, you do not even know what the postseason looks like. Okay,
hey,
we haven't.
Listen, you're in the Carolinas, all right? You're in the Carolinas. You got the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are a great hockey team. They're a great hockey team, and hey, it still counts. That can still be your team. So you have the right to be a fan of them. So you're not a bandwagon, all right? You're not a bandwagon.
You know what? I think I'll just stick from the standpoint of being a fan of just hockey in general. I won't pick a team. I'll just be on the outskirts looking in because I don't know enough.
Hey, hockey is fun as hell. As long as you just have to enjoy it. You don't have to pick a team. You just got to enjoy it. That's all.
As long as I see somebody scrapping, I'm cool. Anyway, speaking of the scrap, man, that's what the Minnesota Timberwolves are making this series between the Denver Nuggets. They are scrapping their way to a 2-0 lead, where things look so dire right now if you're the defending champions, who just got done beating the Lakers in 5 games, right? Who just got done winning an NBA championship a year ago, who's favored to go back to the finals in 2024, is now in danger of getting their asses swept. So
I'm not trying to say anything right now, but my God, Jerry, you want to talk about who's the best player in the world right now? It's not looking like Nikola Jokic. It's looking like a Mr. Anthony Edwards, baby MJ. Woo-hoo-hoo! This guy, Jerry, is electric. He is the most entertaining, the most must-watch player in the league right now, in the league today. He's special. I mean, I don't want us to pat ourselves on the back. I mean, we could, but we don't have to. We've been saying for a long time, this is a bad, bad man. And the playoffs is when the boys become men. And my God, we are seeing Anthony Edwards take leaps right now from being one of the best players, perennial top 10, to he might be top 5. He might be this. He might be that. It is just crazy to me that they are 6-0 in the playoffs right now. They haven't lost a single game. They took 2 games on the road. The road against the defending champs. Are you kidding me? He's going from doing the DX suck it to sending the best player in the world back to Minnesota down 0-2. Man, it's been crazy to see. I'm not going to sit here and say I expected it either. I think I said Denver's going to win the series. You picked Minnesota to win. But man, it's been crazy. It's been a crazy playoff run for Minnesota in general. Also, no Gobert. No Gobert in game 2.
I was literally gonna get there. I believe I chose Minnesota in 7. But the fact that we're now sitting here on May 7th, after watching what we watched in game 2, like what you just mentioned, no Rudy Gobert, and the Denver Nuggets only scored 80 points. 80 points. That's their least amount since 2015. In Denver.
Minnesota's defense is not to be messed with, bro. That is a scary defensive team.
This is insane. And plus I got the stats pulled up here. Jokic scored 16 points on 5 of 13 shooting, while Jamal Murray 8 points on 3 of 18 shooting. Talk about somebody shitting their pants. They're in 48 minutes of hell. Jaden McDaniels is a big guard. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's cousin, is putting on for himself.
The cousin of the MVP candidate is putting Jamal Murray in hell. Bro, Jamal Murray didn't hit a single 3 last night. That's why it doesn't shock me he didn't hit anybody with that heating pad. He couldn't throw a rock in the ocean last night, brother. He couldn't do anything good last night. And not for nothing, I mean, we're just kind of speculating at this point, what could happen with Jamal Murray. One, he's throwing fits on the court. He's throwing up the money sign to the refs, which Gobert got fined $100K for. Yep. Nothing happened to Jamal Murray yet. And he was throwing heating pads on the floor, which obviously nothing came out of it. The refs didn't stop the game, which is kind of crazy. It was very close to Cat's foot, where if he slipped on it and something bad happened, we'd be having a different conversation right now. I don't want to get into whether you think he should be suspended or not, or if a fine should be paid, whatever. That's not really what I want to dive into. But it just tells you how frustrated this team is with a team that doesn't have really any experience compared to the Nuggets. The Nuggets are the defending champs. They've been in the playoffs for consistently the last 5-6 years. We know what they can do in the playoffs. This Timberwolves team is so young. Cat's never made it to the second round. Anthony Edwards, as the face of a team, as a franchise, has never had to be in these situations. And look what they're doing. Shout out Coach Finch too, man. I mean, obviously you got to give credit to the players, but the coaching, man, it's superb. It's superb. Yeah. He deserves all the credit in the world. But yeah, man, it's shocking. And now you're going back to Minnesota for games 3 and 4. We were joking. We were talking about a sweep, but man, if Denver doesn't, they need to win. They need to win both games. I think they have to win both games. If they only win one, I think the series is almost as good as over.
I think there's credit all around that needs to be out in Minnesota. But here's one big thing. I'm a nerd, so I fall into these rabbit holes all the time. But I looked at the offensive efficiency rating of where the Timberwolves were at in the regular season. They were 15th. Mm-hmm. Do you know what they are this postseason now?
Not 15th.
They are number 1 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. To make that big of a jump, you talked about boys becoming men.
Yeah.
They took one hell of a leap on the offensive side of the ball. Now, you can just look at the offensive play when they're on that side of the ball. People are actually calling plays out. Karl Towns is telling people where to be out on the floor. They're getting set in the half court, or whether that be in transition, they're filling the lane correctly. Everything just looks like it's clicking at the perfect time. We're talking about peaking at the right time earlier in the regular season, right before the postseason started, right? They peaked right here, right now, as you mentioned at the start of this topic.
Best time to do it.
6-0 to start off the postseason. And you started that with a sweep against the Phoenix Suns, who were talked about being favorites all season long to also make a Western Conference Finals run, right? You shut them up. Now the defending champs, another team that you're technically not supposed to beat in the eyes of many, including Vegas, and you shut them up to where you literally tip the fucking scale of what the odds look like for the series. The Timberwolves are now the favorites.
Yeah, and they're the second. I think they have the second best odds to win the championship now. The only team better is Celtics. That's it.
It's insane.
They've turned it around. I mean, I won't even want to say turned around because they've were at the top of the West for most of the year, but the switch that they flipped once those playoffs started. Again, we're seeing we already were seeing a star being born in Anthony Edwards, but we are seeing a mega star being born right now in Anthony Edwards. And it's fun to watch, man. It's real. We're seeing it right in front of our very eyes, and it's It's awesome. It really
You know
is.
what? Let's stick on this topic of Anthony Edwards since we're both on this coaster right now that he's apparently piloting. Is this the face of the league now? Are we comfortable saying that over guys like Jokic, over guys like Luka, SGA, or any of those other MVP candidates you want to throw in there? Are you comfortable saying Anthony Edwards is the face of the league?
I'm not. I don't think I'm ready to say he is the face of the league yet. I think he's in that conversation for sure.
Mhm.
But I mean, let me tell you something. If the Minnesota Timberwolves win a championship this year, Anthony Edwards at 22 years old leading a team to a championship, we're gonna have some. We're gonna have to maybe some uncomfortable conversations
Yeah.
because a 22-year-old doing that. I'm not trying to jump the gun or anything, but we might be having to start saying that Anthony Edwards is at least a minimum top 5 player in the NBA, and I think he's higher than that. But I'm saying we'd have to have that conversation,
I mean, it's
and he
definitely
might be
there.
the face of the league if he wins a championship. I could say that, but we need to see what happens the rest of this postseason.
Yeah, no, of course, I'm right there with you. This is more of a speculative question that we're talking about here, right? It's a super
Mm-hmm.
hypothetical situation because him winning a title is huge at the age of 22 years old. That's how old Kobe was, I believe, when he won his first one in 2000. So, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, the Timberwolves squad compared to that Lakers squad, there's one big glaring difference. There's no Shaq in Minnesota. Karl
right.
Anthony Towns is far from it. Rudy Gobert is far from it. But they're doing this and getting it done a different way to where we have to look at these brothers and actually say, like, wow, you guys are going to be around for a long time. I mean, Michael Conley is the oldest piece on the team, right? I believe he's the oldest starter left in these playoffs, which is,
Yeah, 36 years old, something like that.
yeah. Shout out to Michael Conley, man. Like, the veteran leadership pays off. We talked about them not having that much
Teammate of
experience.
the year, right? Do you win teammate of the year?
I believe so, yeah. I believe
Yeah,
so,
I
yeah.
think he did.
So we talked about them not having that much experience, but Michael Conley definitely does. And so does Rudy Gobert, who's made a couple of deep postseason runs with the Jazz. So I mean, it's it's interesting to see the makeup of the team, and it actually it's a super payoff. The last
Yeah.
time that the Denver Nuggets came back from an 0-2 series was back in 1994. And I believe that's the team with Mutombo, where he's laying on the ground with the ball and, going all
Mm.
crazy. So it's
Wasn't
been
even born yet. I wasn't even a thought in my parents' mind yet. Like, hey, we should have a kid.
My
Wasn't even
parents
there
didn't even
yet.
know that they were going to have a third one. There was already two other ones running around somewhere. So I'm right there with you. I was an afterthought, a before thought, if you will.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's insane.
It's yeah, man. It's special. It's again, we're seeing stars. We're seeing stars become mega stars right in front of our very eyes, and it's we got to enjoy it. We got to enjoy it.
And you know what? Before we do move on to this next series here, I just want to say that Jokic needs to get the same type of flack that a LeBron
I'm
or a Kevin Durant or Steph Curry, the media, the people, the fans, we need to put the same shit that we put on all these other megastars that at the top of the game or were at the top of the game in the 2010s. Treat him the same way. Let's not gloss
in
over this like, oh, well, the West was wide open or no, no. Like, I love Jokic. Like, I'm not trying to shit on him, but he's the best player in today's game, right? He needs to take flack and
and
receive that type of insults the same way that the other guys did before him.
And honestly, that's something I never even thought of because no one's even saying anything about it.
Nope.
No one's even shitting on Jokic, and I do agree. Yeah, I mean, hey,
He had a
if he's
bad
the
game.
undisputed best player in the world, and I've said before, like I think him compared to the next guy up, it's probably a much bigger gap between 2 and 3. Like, hey, if you're supposed to be that guy, what 3 MVPs in 4 years, maybe
Potentially, yep.
you gotta be honest with the guy. If he's not showing up, he's not showing up. He needs to lead his team the rest of the series, obviously. But games 3 and 4, man, this could say a lot. This could be a big deciding factor. Not trying to bring legacy into this or anything, but it's it. Jokic has to prove that he is the best player in the world.
I'm just saying. We change our attitude when we're talking about somebody like Jokic. I'm just saying that we need to
Yeah,
open
no,
up
I'm
this
with you,
dialogue.
brother. I'm glad you brought it up because that's not something that's even crossed my mind again because no one's even saying anything about it. So, yep.
Well, from one crazy ass series to the next one, which
Ugh.
also ended in a thriller last night. New
Mhm.
York, Indiana, a classic. When I just hear that, I just instantly think of the Reggie Miller choke or
Rivalry renewed.
yes, man, it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And obviously, my boy Big Body Brunson had 4 straight 40-point games, which
BBB,
ties
baby.
MJ for the most since MJ, I believe, or something like that. I believe Jerry West has the most with 6. But just what are your thoughts on this series and what we saw last night? Obviously, was very controversial, but just talk to me about what you think about this series so far.
First of all, it could have been 5 straight games, but Brunson had 39 in that 5th game. So let's just put that out there, too. He was that close, that close. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm watching this game last night, and I'm just seeing what people have, what we've been seeing all year. It's like Jalen Brunson's really fucking good, man. He's really good, and he's another guy that stepped up big time in the playoffs. Like, boys become men. We've seen Jalen Brunson just like not single-handedly. They have a really good team around them. Josh Hart is a psychopath. He is all over the place. Dante DiVincenzo hits big shots. Mitchell Robinson being back, that defensive presence. They have guys on that team, that are doing their job and stuff. But Jalen Brunson's leading the way, and you can tell that they trust him. You can tell that they are okay with him leading the way, him being the leader of that team, because he can do it. Leading the team, or no, leading the league in playoff points since the postseason has started. He is, I mean, just in the clutch. You can count on him. It's like you put the ball in his hands, he's going to get you a bucket. And it's just like Anthony Edwards. It's been really special to see someone like this make a jump. From this year we saw how great he can be, and then the postseason starts. A light switches. He had a really bad start to the postseason. The first 2 games of the postseason, the
Philly
first
was
round.
bothering him. There was a lot of
He
signs
wasn't
like Kelly Olynyk is not a scrub of a defender. So Oubre. Kelly Oubre is
Kelly
not a
Oubre.
scrub of a defender.
Hey, they've had their beef in the past. Remember, Oubre shoved Olynyk when it was the Wizards Celtics back in those matchups. But yeah, dude. I mean, Jalen Brunson brushed it off, and he is he's arrived. So no, it's been crazy. And we're 1 game into the series, and the only thing I got to say, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the Knicks. I'm not trying to say they didn't deserve to win, but man, it's just frustrating when the referees step in and act like they're the ones that need to dictate the outcome of a game. Like, there were some questionable calls at the end. Some, were right. Some were just like, I don't know, man. It's like, it's playoff basketball. Why are we calling all the things that we are? Like that Miles Turner illegal screen. I don't know about that, man. I don't know. Not saying that, the Pacers would have gotten a shot off there and would have won the game or nothing, but man, we don't got to be calling bullshit like that. We don't got to be doing that.
I could agree with you. I understand that the rule is that you have to give the defender enough time to see the screen and react to it. So, I mean, sure, you can call it a foul, but what really made it a foul was the fact that Dante DiVincenzo actually sold it
so well. Man, Bam Adebayo wasn't. Though that was an average screen from Bam Adebayo first round against Boston. I'm just being honest. That was the lightest screen that Bam could set. I'm not trying to bring Miami up or nothing, but like, it's playoff basketball, man. You gotta let the kids play. That's all it comes down to. And again, I'm not trying to blame the refs for that because it's not their fault. When you got Halliburton dropping 6 points in a playoff game, that's what you got to look at. Indiana, the fact that Indiana even kept it close to begin with him shoot, I think he only had 5 or 6 shots. He didn't even really shoot much.
A lot of shots.
He was in hell the whole game. He was in New York hell the whole game.
What it also is he is dealing with back spasms, and I get that. But we talked about this on the show months ago too. Like, since he came back from the hammy, he really hasn't been the same since the hamstring injury after the in-season tournament.
Sure,
we've seen
a
bad drop-off. Plus, Indiana, actually, the only reason why they were in the game, despite his terrible performance, was that their bench had 30-plus points. New York's bench only had 3.
Yeah.
So
that was the big difference. Yeah.
Definitely a big discrepancy between how the Pacers were actually moving the ball well and playing, and plus it was a fast-paced game. That's exactly what Indiana wants to do. New York I believe they had the slowest pace in the league in the regular season.
Up there.
They're a half-court team. They don't really care to try to thrive off of transition buckets. They get in their pick and roll sets and they go crazy. But last night, they ran up and down the court with them. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, they turn the ball over, which is what Indiana would want. If you try
They were turning the ball over a lot too.
but they actually survived. And yeah, sure, it took some questionable calls like that kickball that they called on Aaron Nesmith, which really wasn't.
That's another one.
Really
Yeah,
wasn't. But that
yeah,
led to a big Dante DiVincenzo three, which put the game out of reach, which forced that illegal screen. Let's put
yeah.
quotes over that. That Miles Turner ended up having later in the game. So I mean, at the end of the day, it shouldn't be on the refs to dictate the game. But let's just be honest here. They are the wardens of the game. They do control how the game flows and what's going to happen. Some refs are a lot looser with their whistle. Others are tight asses. Like, and if they see somebody flop or throw their head back, hey, beep. Like,
Right.
it's just what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, man. It's just like also, I'm glad you brought up that call because I completely forgot about it. First of all, I think kickball is fucking stupid. Unless it's intentional, it shouldn't be a thing. What are you talking? How is it the defender's fault if the ball it didn't hit Aaron? It was very close. I don't think it did. If the defender isn't intentionally doing it, if it's an accident that leads to a steal fast break, I think that's ridiculous. And again, that's a rule. I get it. It's a stupid rule. That's all I'm saying about that. But yeah, big blow for Indiana. Big blow. They could have had the 1-0 lead. Home court advantage would have been wiped away for New York. But the game ended the way it did. New York's up 1-0, and we got to see how Indiana responds. Game 2.
So before we do jump on to these next two series, obviously, that we're also excited about, just give me one quick key for each team to win the series. So one quick key for Indiana, one quick key for New York.
I mean, I feel like Indiana's an easy one. Just Halliburton needs to show up. He can't be scoring 6. I know that's the easy answer, but it's the truth. I mean, if you get that production from the bench like they did last night, and Halliburton had even a half decent game, because he had a bad game last night. That's what he just had a bad game. If he has a half decent game, they win that. If he had 10 more points, they're winning that game. And for New York, I mean, play your game. I know you said like they were running with the Pacers and stuff like that, but they got to play their own way. Like they're the half court team. They have a slow pace, but I know Indiana was, I think the most was the fast paced team in the league, like as far as like fast break and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But New York needs to control the tempo of the game. That's how they're going to, get the wins. I know they won last night and they were fast breaks, this and that, whatever. But if they really want to, command the game, take leads, and like not be in those close game situations, they got to play their game and keep trusting Jalen Brunson. Keep counting on him because he hasn't let them down yet. So
yeah. Now, I mean, I agree with Indiana's. I think your star needs to be the star that he was, right? He averaged 20 to 30 points a game throughout the regular season before the hamstring. I don't care about that now. Whether you're hurt or not, you're playing basketball, You're on the floor in the playoffs.
Joel Embiid was what? 50%.
Yeah.
He was still putting up 30-something a game. 50 points. He was putting up 50 points in playoff games.
With a bad half of his face and a bum knee. So like there's
no excuses right? In the playoffs. If you're playing, you're playing. So.
Exactly. And as for New York, I just think they need to really crash the offensive glass. That's something they did so well against Philadelphia, which is why damn, I'm like stumbling all over my words. But basically, that's why they won that series. So I mean, I need to see more of it. Indiana's a smaller team compared to what the Sixers were. Obviously, Joel Embiid is a load. Pause, no diddy. And the rest of the Indiana squad it's Miles Turner, who didn't average over 8 rebounds a game this year. I get he's a 7-footer. Spends a lot of his time on the outside. So gang rebounding, let's see those second chance points go up because that's also what controls leads and helps them slow the pace down even more. When you get an offensive rebound, it's demoralizing, kills the opponent. So I need to see more of that from New York moving forward in the rest of the series. If they want to move on and play possibly your Boston Celtics, which we'll get to right now. Why not?
Good segue.
Let's talk about your Boston Celtics, man. Playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I just got to say before we dive into this, I'm also very hurt that the Orlando Magic did lose that series because I had money on them, and I also thought Paulo was going to be able to get his boys over the hump. But shout out to Spider.
Yeah, shout out Spider, shout out Paulo. That Magic team has a really bright future. You have a good core: Paulo, Wagner, Jalen Suggs. You bring in some vets. You kind of make some moves with that roster. You kind of like bring whatever you have to do, some weaknesses. You turn those into strengths. Paulo, his first playoff series did not disappoint. Nope. They're going to be in a good spot.
No, there's I don't have the numbers pulled up because we're not talking about the Magic here, but he had numbers that were since LeBron-ish
Yeah.
is what we were seeing. So
yeah, youngest player since LeBron, this and that. Yeah, no, he's got a bright future ahead of him. That kid, I think he's going to be all right.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Magic talking all season, can't wait. Woo! But
yeah.
as for the task at hand, your
Mhm.
Boston Celtics are playing the Cleveland Cavaliers here, but they're doing it without their third guy, their big three member, and Kristaps Porzingis, who
That's right.
possibly won't be around until maybe the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe even
Mhm.
the NBA Finals if you guys get that far. So you're the Boston homer. The floor is yours. Talk to me here. What's going through your head? No KP. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum haven't been averaging their regular season averages. I believe
Yep.
Tatum is at 21.8 and Brown's at 22. And Donovan Mitchell on the other side is giving you 29 a game, basically. So talk to me just what's going through your head for this matchup right now.
We're going up against a team, a franchise that doesn't have quote unquote Tatum rules anymore. Listen, I think the biggest takeaway is Tatum and Brown need to step up the series. Miami, it's always going to be a bloodbath. It's a rivalry. It's this and that. Even without Butler, there's always going to be this history between those two teams. And I think the Heat, even though they did lose the series 4-1, they did a fantastic job containing guys like Tatum and Brown. It was just unfortunate for them that we have this bad motherfucker named Derek White on our team. And I think he's going to have to be I think it's going to be the same this round. He needs to step up without Kristaps. I think he's going to have to take the reins of being that third option, and at times being the two and maybe even the one, if that's what it comes down to. Donovan Mitchell is going to do his thing. I mean, we saw in the first round. I think he's has the most points or the highest average for games 6 and 7 in NBA history. Like we saw in the last years, like game 6 and 7, he just was unguardable, like was lighting it up. And he's going to be a problem. It's going to be hard to contain him. We have Drew, we have Derek White, Jalen, you have bodies you can throw on him, but he's going to be the guy that you have to look out for. I do think Kristaps not being there, obviously, like that hurts. It really does. But I think this is a series that they can skate by without him. Obviously, you don't want to rush him back because God forbid you do, he gets more hurt. You're risking, we're talking about next season and stuff like that, and potential an injury that could keep him out for much longer than a few weeks. So you gotta do what you gotta do without him. Listen, you're the best team in the league. I know Kristaps was there for most of it, but you got to prove it. You got to prove that you can still get it done without him. I think they can. I think this is going to be a series for sure. I don't think it's going to be maybe as close as some people might be saying. I'm saying Celtics in 5. I do think the Cavaliers are going to have. I think Donovan Mitchell is going to have his game. I think maybe in games 3 or 4 in Cleveland, he's going to pop off, do his thing. But at the end of the day, I think the Celtics should take care of business. I expect Tatum and Brown to look 10 times better than they did last series. I think this is the series that people are looking at Boston last round. They're like, oh, they had that one bad game to Miami, Tatum and Brown, this and that. This is when they get back on the track. They get back on track. People are like, oh, okay, this is the team that we were expecting to see in the postseason. Those are my expectations. So, yeah, I just think Tatum and Brown need to step up. They need to contain Donovan Mitchell. And, Evan Mobley is a bad motherfucker too. And we don't have Kristaps to throw on him. So those are two players that they really need to zone in on and make sure that they don't make it a series you got to sweat. And also, I want to point out the Celtics have had a few days off. The Cavaliers are coming in 2 days rest, or not 1 day's rest. They played on Sunday, and they're pretty beat up. I don't know if you were watching the end of the game. A lot of these guys were like, it seemed like they had, they were, limping a little bit, had some injuries they were ailing to. It seems like they're not 100% there. So there should be no excuses here, Kristaps or not. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you, even down to.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I mean, just to the science of like what you guys have been all season long, but obviously, what time of the year it is, where we're at. Like I'm not exactly super high on what we've saw from the Celtics thus far. Like I get it's Miami, but I think that should have been a sweep. Like easily,
yeah,
right?
100%.
They shouldn't even have gotten a game. And I get, it doesn't matter. They still beat them in 5, and they're moving on. I get that. But there's some deficiencies out of that series where I'm looking at Tatum and Brown like, you're not having big scoring games. I'm glad you're impacting in other ways. Like, it's more to the game than just scoring, obviously, but you got to do what you guys do best.
You're the stars. You're the stars of the team.
That's one $300 million man, and Tatum's about to be by the end of this summer as well. So to have two $300 million players and you're averaging less than 25 a game, you know what? You're lucky Derek White did have the game that he had. You're lucky that Jimmy Butler didn't play in that series alone. So I get where you guys are, but I tell you what, this is going to be the toughest, I'm going to say six-game series in their careers. Because I really, in my head, I have for some reason, there's just some gut feeling that Donovan Mitchell is going to go into Boston and at least get one. I just feel like that's going to happen. I think you guys are going to split in Boston. You're going to go to Cleveland, winning game 3, and then split in Cleveland. And then from there, I can see Boston winning the next 2 games. We played 4 games. We know how they feel now. No Diddy again. And everything just kind of like falls into place the way it falls into place. I don't know. There's something in me, though, that I really just feel like it's going to be a dogfight of a series. You mentioned Evan Mobley. That's going to be huge. He had a rough series against Orlando with all that size that they do have, and Isaac, Wendell Carter. Like, there's big bodies out there. You guys are going to look fairly different without your 7'3" guy. He might not snatch rebounds and clean glass all the time, but he's 7'3". He takes up a lot of space on the floor, and you got to account for him on the offensive side of the ball. So, I mean, both Mobley and Allen, I'm expecting them to have big rebounding games. A lot of second chance points is another step.
They have to.
That I think
they have to step up.
Yeah, like it's playoff time. And Darius Garland also had a bad season. Not even just a bad series. I think this is a down year for him compared to last year. So that's another guy. If he wakes up, he steps up. This can get kind of scary. Like, I understand why every Celtic fan should have that demeanor of like, we should be good. Like, we don't need Porzingis for that. And I guess in retrospect, you shouldn't need him. But I'll tell you what, those bigs in Cleveland, man, they ain't no joke. This could be an interesting series. I think some people are kind of sleeping on it just because, Cleveland, man, they're just a 4 seed or whatever it was. We know they're not going to win anything. I don't care.
You can't take them lightly.
I come into the building like, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I'm going to the finals, even if nobody else around me believes that. Right. So
Donovan Mitchell, like, this is my last year in Cleveland, baby. We're going to the finals. That's what Donovan Mitchell's thinking.
Hey, Kawhi's last year in Toronto and his only year in Toronto, he won a chip.
That's right.
We did not pick them to go as far as they did.
Hey, listen, man, this is how I look at it. If Miami and a bunch of role players, a bunch of bench players can come in and light you up and take a game, so can anyone. So you can't look at this team any different than anyone else. You have to keep your foot on the gas, put your fucking foot on their neck and stomp on them, and like, don't look back, brother. You gotta take them seriously. You're right. This could be a scary series. I said 5, but it's not like one of those like, they're gonna win these games by like 15, 20 points. They're gonna be running. It's not gonna be a concern. No, it's gonna be, these games are gonna be dogfights. I really do think that these are gonna be closely contested games. And hey, I'm with you. I was saying Donovan Mitchell, he's gonna have his game in Cleveland games 3 or 4. He could do that in Boston too. Jaylen Brown said there's no friends in the playoffs. It goes both ways, man. It goes both ways, and Donovan Mitchell's a killer. We know what he can do in the playoffs, so we gotta watch out for him for sure.
Last thing, just like how we did for the keys for the past series, what are your keys for this one for each team? I know you don't want to talk about Cleveland keys, but you got to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's simple for Cleveland is you need your other guys to step up. Garland, Mobley, Allen. It's when you don't have a guy like Kristaps, like you said, the big guys gotta be out there rebounding. They gotta take advantage of Kristaps not being there. They gotta take advantage of the guards, the forwards, and you take advantage of that paint being a little bit more opened up and not having that rim protector in there. And for Boston, Tatum and Brown need to look like Tatum and Brown. That's it, bro. It's like these guys are making all this money. Brown's already got his money. Tatum's going to get his. But it's like you got to play like it. You were able to do your thing in the first round. Thank God for Derek White. Good thing Jimmy Butler wasn't playing. But this is a whole new team. We're in the second round now, and it's like you play like that again. If let's say and 2 weeks from now, series is over. We don't even know the result of the series, and you're showing me these numbers. Tatum averaged 21, Brown averaged 22, and Mitchell averaged 29. I don't know if I'm confident in saying that the Celtics won that series. Those two guys need to step up. If not, it is going to be a long series for them.
Yeah, I think for Cleveland, hit them where it hurts. One of the league's best shot blockers, their premier shot blockers, is not around. Attack the paint. That's just not just Evan Mobley post ups or Jared Allen post ups or cuts or whatever. No, that's dribble drive penetration to make sure that Boston knows, like, oh wow, like we need to shore this up. Obviously, you start inside, you work outside, everything else opens up. But I would definitely kill the points in the paint. That's what I'm hammering if I'm JB Bickerstaff. For Boston, couldn't agree more. Like we talked about Halliburton for the Pacers series, this is even more so. The Boston Celtics have had championship aspirations since 2022. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yeah.
there's
You
nothing
can even
else.
go further than that. You can even go back if you want. You can
Yeah,
even go a few years back if you want to.
yeah.
100%. And
It's
like if you think, like if you gave a list of like who have been the top 10 players in the playoffs right now,
they're not in
I
the
mean,
top
if you're
five.
looking at it, Tatum might not even be in the top 10 after that first round. He
Maybe not.
genuinely.
Maybe not. Based off of like what we've seen so far, I'd go Jalen Brunson. I'd go Anthony Edwards. I'd go Joel Embiid. I'd
Sure.
go Anthony Davis. Like those guys have had Karl Towns. Those guys have had better postseason runs to this point. So
Yeah. Derek White. Derek
they're
White.
your own teammate. Your own teammate. And something
Yeah.
about that bald Derek White, man. All he needed to do was lose the hair.
Hey,
Superhero.
like I've always said to you, Jerry, bald is beautiful. Bald is beautiful, brother.
Well, you know what, man? I don't have a good segue for that to go into the next thing. But, maybe I can talk about OKC's youth is like a newborn
Yeah.
bald baby when it comes down to playing against the Dallas Mavericks here in our final series to preview. It's actually the first series since I believe, was it 2021 when the Celtics played the Sixers that two 30-point scores are facing off from the regular season. It was Embiid and Tatum back
Hey,
then.
there's
Now
your
we
fun
got,
fact of the episode right there. Thank you,
hey man,
Jerry.
I try to do some deep digging when we put these stuff together. Yeah, so SGA, Luca, Kyrie, Chet, like there's a lot of fun names in this one, right? Especially with the young squad here. So again, like this, I don't really have much to say. Just again, keys here. Like what are we thinking here?
Yeah, man, I think this is going to be a fun series. I really think this is going to be a fun series. I think it's going to come down to who plays better defense. I think both these teams are going to be running and gunning. You got the youth versus the one of the most skilled backcourts of all time. One of the best players in the league, if not the best, in Luka Doncic. One of the most exciting players, craftiest, skilled players in Kyrie Irving, and obviously OKC being up and coming. They got their young squad, but they're young. Again, they got past the Pelicans with no Zion. How are they gonna be against a team like Dallas who has that experience and also well coached, also has a team, and they have guys that play their role well. It's I I don't even know who I think. Who do I think is going to win the series, Jerry? I think I have Mavericks winning the series in 6 or 7 games. But man, I think it's gonna be one of the most exciting series of the playoffs. I just think Luka's got to do Luka magic. Kyrie Irving needs to remind everyone that he is a former NBA champion. He can step it up when it matters the most. Not that he didn't before, but that he can. And the role players need to do their thing. And SGA, lead the way, brother. You're an MVP candidate. Do what you got to do this series. Will your team to victories. That's what I think the keys are.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I believe that Dallas gets this done in 6 or 7 games as well. It's it's just oh man, like
It's
this
tough.
team.
It's gonna be close.
It
It's gonna
seems
be. I
like
can
this
see
is gonna be.
OKC taking it too.
Yeah, like it could happen. I just feel like we're gonna see fireworks. Like this is about to be
Yeah.
like 120 plus point scoring games, and both teams they've improved defensively, especially after the Mavs acquired Daniel Gafford, and that kind of helped their defense take a step up. But like the same problem that I feel like OKC is gonna have all the way until like whenever they're eliminated is gonna be size, and to have two live
Yeah.
bodies in Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford banging up against Chet and the rest of that front court that's in OKC, it's kind of I'm kind of leaning more towards Dallas, primarily because of that reason. Not even because of Luka and Kyrie. Those are just the headline names. But the guys that do the dirty work, that play well. And hey, we're gonna have a little bit of rookie on rookie crime with Lively and Holmgren, so that should be fun. So I feel you though. I'm right there with you. 6 or 7 games. My keys, OKC just man, like I hate to say it, but I don't really even have a key for them. I think they just need to go out there and play their game. As cliche as that seems, what's got you to the 1 seed? Like
Yeah.
play like you mean it. Double down when you need to double down. They got 2 perimeter stars. Lou Dort can only guard one of them, so there's going to be a lot.
That's what I was gonna say. Lou Dort needs to do his thing, whether it's on Kyrie or Luka. He can't be on both. But man, whoever he's assigned to, he has got to make sure he puts that motherfucker through hell, and they earn every single bucket that they get.
It's going to be tough.
They work for it.
I think that's what they need to do. They probably need to turn them into more of a half-court team. Like honestly, I don't know how you stop Luka and Kyrie. They really just stop themselves, and that's the key for Dallas. Dallas just needs to go out and play their game as well. You have two of the best perimeter players in the league today, but you also have the
100%.
size to contend with any team out here. I'm envisioning right now in my head a Western Conference Finals of Dallas and Minnesota. That's all I feel like they need to do.
Crazy.
Just focus on what got them there. The inside.
Who would have thought?
Not me.
Who would have thought? Nah, definitely not me either. Definitely not me either. But yeah, man, it's unpredictable. I think this series is going to be unpredictable. We gave our predictions, but it really could go either way.
Yeah,
you don't know.
I have no clue for this one. Well, that concludes playoff talk. Now let's just give some love to our wonderful Rookie of the Year, man. Victor Wembanyama, 7th unanimous Rookie of the Year award winner, man. It's crazy. We saw some amazing games. First player in NBA history with 250 blocks and 100+ threes. Some crazy stats, man. Just talk Wemby, man. It's insane.
He's just getting started, brother. He is just getting started. I mean, what I think I'm most impressed about with him is one, his humbleness and his. It's like, people, they were telling him, all these things that he's done, like, all these accomplishments. He goes, I feel like I didn't hit my expectations. I didn't reach expectations. Are you fucking nuts? Are you kidding me? That's crazy. He absolutely, lived up to the expectations. Like, you are a 19-year-old, 20-year-old phenom, doing things that we've never seen before. And I think he came in second place in Defensive Player of the Year voting. And he is not going to be too far off. He could win it next year. And I actually have.
Have we gotten the results yet on that?
Have we gotten the results yet? Oh no, they announced the award tonight. Actually, they announced it tonight. I'm just going out on a limb and saying that he's probably going to be coming in second defense. No offense to Bam. No offense. I think Victor Wembanyama is going to be towards. I think Gobert is winning it. So besides the point, but I think Victor Wembanyama, being up top in these awards this young, he's going to win a few of them throughout his career. I genuinely think the only thing that would worry me is injuries. Like, as long as this guy stays healthy, I think he can go down as one of the best players the NBA has ever seen. That's genuinely what I think. And it won't be too long before he's winning MVPs. And there's the stat I have pulled up. We'll see. Crazy things could happen, but even if he doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year tonight or until 2027, for that matter, so his 4th season, he would still be the youngest player in NBA history to do it. I think it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, looking into the future a little bit. But yeah, dude, this guy's special. He's one of a kind, and he's only getting better, which is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add, man. I think it's pretty abundantly clear that MVPs, DPOYs, All-NBA first teams, defensive first teams, everything that you could think of for this dude, man, it's going to be in his trophy case at some point. Like, the only thing that we have some question marks about is an NBA title, just because of the way the roster is constructed around you right now. But if you continue to play this good, you can literally will your way to championships. We've seen LeBron do it, Steph, Kobe, KD, Jordan, any of those guys you want to throw out. You put yourself in the right situation by continuing to play good ball. The rest of the stuff will take care of itself, man. So shout out to Wemby, man. Unanimous over a guy like Chet Holmgren, who's a unanimous second place winner, and my guy Brandon Miller, unanimous third place winner. So it was very,
Yeah, no
very
questions
easy.
asked there.
It's
No
probably
questions asked.
the quickest voting ballot ever. Like, who you got? All right, next. Like,
Yeah,
of
no,
course,
it's
that's
like, all
just
right,
crazy.
let's move on to next award. Next up. Yeah, I think the next question is who's going to be the first star to join Wemby? I think that's all we're going to be asking ourselves this offseason.
TBD, TBD.
to,
We'll
to
get
be
there.
determined. But yeah,
That's
that's
all we got.
I think that's all we got today. Yeah, like we said earlier, put in the comments your thoughts, your predictions for these NBA playoff matchups going on right now. Give us your, conference finals predictions if you want, thoughts on Wemby, all that, whatever you want to do, or if you just want to say hi, put it in the comments. We appreciate you guys watching, listen to us as always. If you're on YouTube, please make sure to like, subscribe, check out all the other videos on this platform as well, other long form videos and our shorts as well. If you're an audio only listener, give us a 5-star review. We appreciate it so much. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all of that good stuff. And we'll have some more NBA playoffs to talk about next week, and I can't wait. So until then, peace
Peace
out.
out.